What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Geek-Stew, and today, guys, welcome back to another episode of Conspiracy Theories with Ike. That's right. I'm, of course, your host with the most, Ike Isaacs, and I am here today to present to you another conspiracy theory. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, as mentioned before, there's a bunch of boxes and shit behind me. Told you guys that the next time you saw a video from me, it would be with a bunch of shit behind me because, like I've said before, I am moving. So I apologize that my background is not very aesthetic, fragile. It is what it is. Sorry. But that doesn't mean that I can't still give you some great content. So what we're going to do today, this theory is actually a off-iceberg theory. I don't think I've done very many of these, but it is a good conspiracy theory nonetheless. Actually has some pretty solid backing. Not to say that it's true, but it does have some pretty interesting points to talk about. So I'm excited to talk about it. But first, I want to give a special thanks to the TikToker at ThirdEyes2 for posting the TikTok. The TikTok, of course, is talking about the theory we're going to talk about today. So that's who it is. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Obviously, this is not their original theory. This is, of course, from somebody else, but they brought it to my attention. Therefore, I want to give them just a little bit of credit. But with that being said, let's get right into the video today, guys. Let's talk about Earth is a prison planet. So I hope you guys enjoyed that TikTok. I just wanted to show it to you because I want to give you my resources, what I've seen so far. And if you didn't have a chance to read the whole thing, I'm just going to kind of read to you basically what the TikTok says. But the theory goes as such. Humans didn't originate from Earth, but were alternatively exiled to this planet tens or hundreds of thousands of years ago by an alien race or races. In support of this theory, the original theorist, ecologist Dr. Ellis Silver, claimed that mankind is supposedly the most highly developed species on the planet, yet is surprisingly unsuited and ill-equipped for the Earth's environments. We are harmed by the sunlight. We have a strong dislike for naturally occurring foods, ridiculous high rates of chronic disease, and more. Humans must have been imprisoned or either on Earth for a crime that that our ancestors must have committed. Kind of the example of this was stories of the Garden of Eden and the forbidden fruit might have been considered a surviving remnant of that story and the original crime that we may have committed. That being said, we also could have been exiled to this planet due to our species being naturally violent. So yeah, that was a mouthful, but since this is from TikTok, and no offense to @ThirdEyes2, I'm not like 100% sure if this theory is for word accurate from the original theorist, Dr. Silver. So we're going to kind of jump into what they had to say and basically where they're coming from. So as mentioned, Dr. Ellis Silver is the person who purported this theory, and I, for the life of me, couldn't find a picture of them, but they do exist because they wrote a book which is literally titled Humans Are Not From Earth. So pretty much the most straightforward book name I've ever seen in my life because that's exactly what we're talking about. In this book, there's a lot more than I could ever possibly fit in just one video. So maybe in the future I'll dive into it some more, probably not, but keep that hope alive. But I do want to go over some highlights of the books. Some of these will sound a little familiar because they were included in like the TikTok explanation. But keep in mind that first and foremost, Dr. Silver's original hypothesis is that we are simply not from this planet. Not necessarily that we were exiled or imprisoned on this planet, but that one explanation of why we are not from this planet is because we were exiled here. Okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of give you one of the points that was given in the book, basically, the summarization, and then I'm going to give you my take on that, whether or not I believe it, or if I believe it's a good idea, or, all that good shit. So let's jump into why Ellis Silver thought that we were not from this earth. The first point that I want to subject to you is the concept that we have bad backs. You heard that right. So Silver argues that the gravity on our other planet was stronger, so we are growing taller as our gravity is weaker on this Earth. Due to that, with every generation, as we get taller and taller, our backs get worse and worse. Now, like, I guess this makes some sense, but we do have to make some assumptions, right? Generally regarded as true that other planets, the lack or excess of gravity compared to our own, would affect our height. I cannot remember which planet it was specifically, but there was a planet where they're like, the gravity is so much more, so it can compress us more. So I guess in theory, if like hundreds of thousands of years ago we came to this Earth from a more gravitous planet, then it is true that we would start growing taller and taller as the burden of the gravity on our body is not as large. But at the same time, wouldn't we grow accustomed to the gravity over thousands of years? I thought evolution was kind of like like a big point of this. I don't know, but next point. Dr. Silver also says that childbirth, the way that humans give birth to our children. So we all know that human childbirth is generally awful and unpleasant for those who are giving birth. But Silver basically said that along those lines, why do species of this planet give birth relatively easy? So like dogs and cats can pop out 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, however many babies really easily, relatively easily, compared to what, humans have to go through when they give birth. And basically the reason for this, and the reason why there is so much agony for when we give birth, is that the high levels of nutrition on this planet make our babies bigger in utero, and our bodies simply cannot handle it. Now here's the deal. This one almost makes sense because childbirth is a conundrum for those who study it. For people who don't know, we have still an extremely high mortality rate for being one of the most advanced species to exist on this Earth. Human childbirth mortality is still incredibly high, higher than it should be given the amount of technology that we have and how advanced we are as a species, and how dangerous it can be to people who give birth. And I'm not saying that it's because we're from another planet, but I guess if we were to assume that there are other contributing factors that prove that we're not from this Earth, that this could indeed be interpreted as a possible issue. Now, again, don't want to say for sure, but I could kind of see where they're going with that. The actual literal sun. So, long story short, we are not built for the type of sun that we have. Other species can sunbathe for hours. They have thicker fur and skin and whatnot. But when we sunburn, when we sunbathe or stay in the sun for extended lengths of time, we literally burn. Other species thrive in the sun. Plants literally feed from it, but the sun can actually kill us. Now, the reason they say this is because that our previous planet could have been weaker, the sun that is, or we could have had a more cloudy environment. Again, could make sense, but we do know that we evolve over time, right? Humans haven't been around for at least 200,000 years, right? If you believe in evolution, you believe in what concepts that we have working right now, then humans have been around for at least 200,000 years. And one would think that we would have adapted by then. But if adaptation is not possible, this could make sense that our sun may differ from previous systems, because our sun does. Again, we would have to assume that we are unable and incapable of adapting to our environment, because, for lack of a better phrase, I'll get into this a little bit later, but part of the reason why the sun and other things environmentally affect us the way that they do is because we're no longer used to them, right? Cavemen were more used to it, so they could stay in the sun longer. It still harmed them, but I mean, as far as our science goes, they were more accustomed to it. But of course, we are not, because of the modern luxuries and technology that we have. We look different. So Silver argues that we differ significantly from pretty much all other life on Earth. That's pretty much what he's saying. That's the long and short of it. But there is more to it. But This is the gist of it, right? We're different than pretty much all other animals. Now, this isn't entirely wrong because most species are quadrupeds. Most species do use all 4 limbs to walk. However, this wouldn't explain things like birds or primates, primates with whom we share a lot of DNA. But despite that, this isn't entirely off, as we are different than a lot of species on the planet. We are bipedal. We do not walk on all 4s. And also, this also has something else that we'll talk about later. But I mean, we operate differently than most animals do. So that could make sense. Why are we as a species so advanced that we are so different when there's nothing else like us on Earth? The next point that they make is that we are too advanced. Now, this one is a little bit of a mouthful because some of the shit that I have to say about this, because this point doesn't make any sense. But basically, we are more advanced than all our life on Earth. There are some incredible creatures, but none of them are up to our par. Why is it that way? Why do we lead so much technologically? Why are no other animals capable of speech in the way that we are? Why are they not able to do what we do? So basically, Silver is saying that we were from a more advanced colony, right? They said that we were from more advanced Earth, and we decided to leave or were kicked out or whatever the case is. And now we are here and doing what we are doing, right? Here's the issue with that. If we came from an equally advanced society, equally or more advanced society, why did it take so long to get our technology up to par? We can make some allotments saying that, you know, we came from a different planet with different materials than Earth, right? Maybe they didn't have the same metals or ores that we have here. So it took us a while to kind of get that up and going, right? But then why is the first record of actual society only 6,000 years ago? We haven't been here for much longer. Like, why did we wait so long to get to where we are today? There's a lot of unanswered questions with the concept of we came from an advanced society. If we did, then why are we so incapable of doing probably the most simple things like developing society, developing written record? I mean, anthropologically speaking, that's like one of the first things that advanced societies do is that they record. And there is almost nothing outside of cave drawings and paintings until about 6,000 years ago when we have the first record of actual civilization. Our circadian rhythm. So this one basically says that we have a hard time sleeping as a populace because our natural circadian rhythm is different than Earth's day-night cycle. So this isn't entirely untrue. Some scientists do agree that our rhythms are longer than the 24-hour cycle, which would raise questions as to why our rhythms are longer than what is physically possible given our 24-hour days on Earth. I think there are some external factors to consider because for instance, our technology, different mental illnesses and things of that nature. There are a lot of things that can affect a circadian rhythm, the type of work that we do, the amount of activity that we do. There are a lot of external factors that can affect that. But in theory, one could assume our rhythm is off due to coming from a place of a different circadian rhythm. So calls into questions, was our previous planet a longer day-night cycle? Again, we're going to circle back to why didn't we just evolve to the current rhythm over the last 200,000 years? I guess if you don't believe in that, then that might be the problem. But I feel like we would have evolved by now. So I guess circadian rhythm could be the issue. I don't think it is, but do with that information what you please. This one literally just says we don't like it here. So the thought process is that as a species, we would eventually adapt to our environment, and we don't really seem like we are. So I can kind of see where they're coming from this, because I fucking hate it here.
I hate it here!
I'm just kidding. I do hate it here, but not because of this, for other reasons. So I can kind of see what we're working with here. Normally, species change themselves. They evolve to meet the requirements of the habitat, right? We evolve to eat whatever we're eating here and everything else. But we seem to be changing the habitat to meet our needs, terraforming, if you will. To add on to that, Silver did mention that we can also never tell when shit starts going down. Like, We don't know when a volcano is about to erupt or a hurricane or an earthquake, right? We have technology that we have developed to find that, but naturally speaking, I could be next to a fucking fault line about to just erupt, and I wouldn't have any clue. I could probably pick up on context clues because other animals do know. Birds, they get the fuck out of there. Dogs and shit, they're like, yeah, we got to get the hell out of here too. So, yeah, I mean, we don't know without technology when shit like that's going to happen. Also, we have to cook a lot of the food that we eat on this planet to make it edible. And a lot of stuff we just can't eat, like grass and other shit like that. I mean, we could, but it's not good for us, right? We don't digest it well. So yeah, I can kind of see what Silver's working with here. Now, I think that this could also be an evolutionary thing that, you know, we have evolved to a point where our bodies can eat and composite only certain things, especially since we live in the modern world. You know, people you can eat different things based on what they're basically given, right? If you only gave a human grass, I think that eventually over time we could probably adapt to eating just grass, but since we don't have to eat grass, we can eat other things, right? So not a terrible concept, but I also think it could be explained away like a lot of these other ideas, but it can be explained away pretty easily. Rapid overpopulation. Now, basically, we are an invasive species, is what he would argue. Silver argues that we are rapidly overpopulating the Earth, and the local fauna and ecosystem are not prepared to combat that kind of population. Now, this does kind of make sense. We are so high on the food chain that we essentially exist extraneously from it, right? We are basically not, you can't even really put humans on the same food chain as animals because we don't have any natural occurring predators, right? We are most species natural occurring predators. Now, this argues that we are not originally from this planet, so we invaded, started populating, and we basically hunt everything, right? We are pretty much unopposed in our ecosystem, and there's nothing to balance us out. Now, I do believe that this is true. This is a true statement. I don't necessarily think that this is symptomatic of us being from another planet. I don't think that's the issue. I just think that humans have evolved to the point where we basically exceed the concept of a food chain. So lastly, we're gonna talk about Prison Planet. So Silver proposes the rationale for why they think we are from another planet and that we are imprisoned here. And I do not agree with this. I want to preface this by saying that I don't agree with this because here's the deal. The concepts that I'm about to read to you have been used in rhetoric as a racist agenda towards essentially every minority group ever made, right? Now, this is more overall encompassing, so I don't think that Silver was attempting to be racist in any. They might be. I don't really know the person. I didn't really do any research into who they are as a human being, but I think that this is more just a generalized concept and not a specific, directed, targeted statement at any one group. Okay. So basically, Silver says that we as a species are violent, vengeful, lustful, and criminal by nature. Again, Silver said that, not me, okay? Basically, he says that we are awful at our core, and rather than deal with us, some advanced civilization shipped our asses off to a new planet to figure out shit, and maybe one day we can re-enter their civilization, basically. Silver came to this conclusion, as you do not see a lot of our bad behaviors in the animal kingdom, and due to the stark difference, we are just basically evil, right? Basically, he's arguing that at a core, human beings are not good because naturally we are violent and evil and everything else. And I don't believe that. I think that we do have the option of doing bad things, but I don't think that as a natural recourse that we are evil or bad or, violent per se. I think that human beings are still a young species, right? Homo sapiens are still a pretty young species, given the very vast expanse of our Earth. And just the whole concept of the beginning of time. We've been around for a very small sliver of that time, and I think that we still are growing as a species. And I hope that one day we will improve because I do believe that we have some bad tendencies as humans, but I don't think that we're naturally violent or evil. So Silver basically argues that we are, and that is the reason why we were shipped off to this planet, because whomever we were shipped off by no longer wanted to deal with us. In conclusion, I just want to say that it is an interesting and certainly entertaining theory to think about. I think this is one of those ones that really made me think and actually had some pretty interesting points to actually sit down, break out, and talk about. But I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that this is not probable.
It's not possible. Not probable.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that aliens don't exist or that we are the only life form in this universe, because that is simple ignorance, given the law of averages and the simple concept that the statistical probability that we are the only living species in the entirety, in the vast expanse and multitude of our universe, it would be an ignorant statement. All right. If we truly were, then we are truly an alone, dying species. But yeah, so I just want to specifically put it out there. I think humans have evolved a lot and become accustomed to commodities that make our lives easier. And subsequently, we've lost some of those evolutionary advantages that our ancestors had 200,000 plus years ago. Part of the reason why we can't, we can't sustain life in certain areas. The sun hurts us. We no longer have to do back-breaking work, so our bodies just kind of start falling apart because we're not built to do that anymore. I think just genetically, humans are starting to devolve somewhat, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's just that we don't need those evolutionary advances that we had those so many years ago, because we just don't need them anymore. We don't need to be able to lift all thousands of pounds or pull thousands of pounds, so our bodies are changed. And it's not a bad thing, it's just evolution. We've changed to accommodate to the circumstances that we live in now. Alright guys, so that's going to be pretty much it for today. I want to go ahead and finish this out with some final thoughts, and this is not related to the theory at all, so if you want to stop watching here, I get it. But I like to talk to you guys just a little bit at the end here, get some stuff off my chest, if you will. Excuse me. So, normal shit's been going on. Like I told you, I'm moving, getting stuff packed up. We're out of here soon. Actually, end of April, we're moving out of our apartment and then moving down to Pensacola, Florida. And I hopefully will be able to kind of, chronicle some of that moving. And, I do want to share that with you guys because it's going to be very interesting. I may take a week off here closer to time again. But between now and, the 23rd, you'll still have some videos from me. So a couple things that happened to me recently. Salsa Shark, actually. So if you don't know who Salsa Shark, it's this guy. It's a little weird. If you've not seen our 900 subscribers video, go check that out. It's I'll link it in the comment section, the fucking description. What the fuck am I talking about? He actually gave me a pair of pants, fun fact, and basically it's like a khaki type material. It's a little bit more comfortable. They're like joggers, but they're khaki joggers, and he gave them to me because he didn't want them anymore. He got a new pair or whatever, and he's like, hey, try these out. And I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll wear them. We wear the same size pants or so, and just fucking blew out the ass. I promise I wasn't like shitting my pants and just out the ass. Honestly, I don't know how I did it, but I did go out in public wearing like these pants. And I was with my wife and her cousin pointed out and was like, yeah, you have a huge hole in your ass. I'm like, oh, great. Just walked around fucking food restaurant or whatever the hell we were doing, and it's fine. Also, this happened a little bit ago, but I realized I never talked about it. I got a fucking nail or a screw in my tire, and we had to get a replacement tire. We took it to the goddamn discount tire, and man, it was like $100 for a new fucking tire. But I have a newer-ish car, I guess, kinda. And I guess the type of tires that they have for those, they're very specific, right? We milked it for weeks because it was a slow leak, so we didn't have to get it repaired right away. Well, I take that back. We did try to get it repaired, but if you've never seen them before, you can go online, you can find tire charts, and you can see kind of where the line is for when they can patch it or plug it. And it was just kind of on that line, right? And so they're like, yeah, we don't want to patch it or plug it because if we patch or plug it and it's too close to the tire wall, the fucking tire can just blow out. And I was like, look, I don't want to fucking deal with this anymore. Just put a new tire on it, So yeah, that's what's going on in my life, in case you're curious. If not, I'll just go fuck myself, right? Go fuck me right. No, I'm just kidding. But we're going to end it there. If you guys would, please like and subscribe. Go ahead and, if you haven't already, follow us on social media. You won't be sorry. I don't do too much on there, but it'd be nice because I do want to eventually get more active on there. It's just right now, there's not a huge following on there. So I don't want to say there's no incentive to go on there, but I do want to try and get more interaction on social media. So if you haven't, we have Facebook and Twitter. Facebook is facebook.com/trythestew, or you can just type in @trythestew, or you can search Geek-Stew and it'll eventually come up. Twitter is @geek_stew. My Twitter is @pinesizebeast, and Salsa is @salsashark jr. So yeah, that's what we're working with. So that's literally all I can say now. I can't say anything else. So thank you guys for watching. Keep up on all of our videos. Check us out next week on Friday for another conspiracy theory with Ike. But until then, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, stay awesome, and we will see you in the next one. See ya.